Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Bob. How's it going?
Good. How are
Great.
you?
I'm good.
Good. Sorry, Sean. Just as you started talking, we went live.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm sorry.
No, Sean. Well, this is a peek behind the camera for all our fans.
It's a peek behind the camera, guys. Hello and welcome to Talk Chef. I am one of your hosts, Reka.
I'm your other host, Jordan, and this is Sean.
Sean, you're welcome to hop on.
We'll be going off camera and just be listening in for fun.
Perfect. We love. Very legit. We have a Bravo representative here because we have Chef Byron Gomez from season 18.
What's up, guys?
Incredible. Everyone sound off in the comments. How are you feeling? What's going on? Byron, we're so excited to have you. Oh, I think your video turned off.
All right. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Byron, how are you doing?
Oh my God. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you, girls, for doing this. This is amazing.
So excited to have you.
Our pleasure.
What a treat.
Yeah, honestly, not enough people thank me and Reka, and that's what I want to talk about today. So thank you so much, Byron, for starting the episode off right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Out of curiosity, Byron, were you a Top Chef fan before you came on Top Chef?
I mean, since season one, I got to be honest. You know, I watched season one. I watched up to, I believe it was season 5, which was New York.
Yes.
And then after that, you know, work got really serious. And then there was I couldn't afford cable just because I was at a cook's pay back in New York City. And but then once I got the call, I was like, I got to start binge watching because I didn't realize it was like 17 seasons deep. But yeah, it was amazing.
Incredible.
So you really did your work going into the show. You did your research, you did your homework.
Yeah, I mean, of course, just to kind of see what I was getting prepared for, but pretty much everything went out the window once the first challenge started, just because it's just something so new, and every season they reinvent themselves, which is amazing. Yeah, I try to do my homework, but you know, we'll see how far it helps me out.
Yeah, and I'm sure too with COVID, some of those rules, like you guys were in a completely new, unique season. You know,
Yeah, it was. I mean, one of the comments I believe that Gabriel mentioned earlier in the season, the few first episodes, he goes like, "We've haven't been in our kitchens for like about a year. We've been quarantined, so we haven't got into that rhythm of like, okay, now we need to cook and this and that." So that on top of like again like the filming during a pandemic, Portland was going through protests, wildfires, restaurants being closed, so food options was very limited, and you know we've been on this bubble that we can't leave the hotel, and it was just something so crazy, but a very great life experience.
Yeah,
That's
for
awesome.
sure. Well, before we dive in, a couple orders of business. Number one,
Cool.
You guys know this is a food charity-based live stream. So this season, we are donating all of our proceeds to Heart of Dinner, which is an organization in New York City that provides grocery and delivery assistance to the elderly Asian community. So very cool organization. Check them out.
One thing, if I could cut you, I'm thinking, and spoiler alert, I'm thinking of being in New York and doing a few pop-ups in the fall. I would love to get linked up with them just so we could work through some charity events. That would be amazing.
Oh my!
This is it's happening.
We would love that.
You guys are working magic here. Look at that. Like,
My God.
We love that. Byron, we have no like official organizational connection to them. So for anyone watching, like our last charity, Hollywood Food Coalition that we did last season, Reka and I both volunteer there. Heart of Dinner is based in New York, and Reka and I aren't in New York anymore, but we've done a bunch of research on them and they seem like such an incredible organization.
Great.
We would love to do whatever we could to put
Yeah,
into them.
maybe something like when we donate, maybe we hit them up on Instagram or something and
have him link up with me.
Oh yeah, we would love that.
And then Reka and I fly to New York for the pop-ups, I'm thinking.
If you want, I'm going to do a 2-week residency in New York. So I'm looking for charities. I'm looking for events to work with. And this is a perfect one. So again, let's intertwine, mingle, and then just make everything happen.
I love to intertwine and mingle. Oh, I love that.
Maybe you're looking for some podcast hosts to come to New York.
Yes.
I'm picking up on it.
Okay.
Okay, great.
We have
Amazing.
an
Look at
unhealthy obsession with the show. Okay.
Not good.
look what everything is happening in just 5 minutes in,
I
guys.
know. Incredible.
This is incredible.
Beautiful. So if you guys want to link up with that organization too and donate, there's so many ways to do it. One, if you want to be part of our Talk Chef charity tally, you can Venmo Jordan at JORDANMYR1CK. That is in the chat. It's in the description of the video. If you're like, hey, I would rather, get the tax write-off myself. I don't want to donate through you guys. That's all cool. You can go directly donate through the Heart of Dinner website. And if you're like, screw you guys, I don't want to be part of your tally whatsoever, you don't even have to tell us what you donated at all and just keep it to yourself. Beautiful. So that's our first order of business. And Byron, our second order of business is something we didn't mention. It's not anything spooky, but just like every episode of Top Chef has a quick fire, so does every episode of Talk Chef. And I have seen all 17 and a half seasons of Top Chef.
Oh my God.
75 times. I can safely say this is the fastest quick fire in Top Chef history. It is 45 seconds long.
Okay.
Answer 10 questions. Now, these are not trivia questions. These are just Byron food questions.
Got it. Let's go.
Maybe questions related to this week's episode.
Awesome.
And if in case you're like, maybe I'm not going to try very hard at this, it sounds like a dumb bullshit quickfire, you're actually wrong, because the prizes are kind of a big deal.
They're huge.
Amazing.
If you complete the quickfire in the amount of time allotted, you could win a deed to the Terlato Wine Vineyard.
Have you heard of Terlato wine? Have you heard of it, Byron?
Yes, of course. Oh my God.
Okay, it's the wine that sponsors many seasons of Top Chef and is almost impossible to find to this day. Right, and I have tried to purchase it.
Yeah. Not sure if it's like some sort of secret underground wine or I don't know, but the deed is located. Or the deed is located in my home. We will give it to you. And the actual vineyard is in the Bermuda Triangle. So you'll win that.
So
cool.
You'll also win your own suite of breaking GE appliances. Now, halfway through a season of Top Chef, those appliances are worn out to all hell. You've got a fryer that doesn't get up to temp, an oven that drops temperature. Ooh, baby, those could be yours.
Tamper with it? They didn't. The equipment is just broken.
Ooh, yes. Incredible. So that is those are the prizes that are at stake. So
okay. No pressure.
No pressure. So I will give you, I can never get my phone to show up from the green screen.
I see it.
Okay, great, I will give you 45 seconds from the moment Jordan finishes her first question. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. In one word, describe the feeling of not being eliminated.
Glorious.
What is your favorite food?
Fish.
What is your favorite hipster food?
Almond butter.
Are you a hipster?
Yes.
What is the most hipster thing about you?
I roll up my pants.
Pick one, Fred Armisen or Carrie Brownstein?
Carrie Brownstein.
Would you ever write a real cookbook?
Of course.
Do you use cookbooks?
Yes.
If you could teach one person in the world a recipe, who would it be?
My cooks.
How great are Jordan and Reka?
Amazing.
Wow.
You did it!
It's huge. You did it.
Okay, this is huge. Wow. Okay, Byron, we are going to ship you the Terlato Wine Vineyard located in the Bermuda Triangle and all of your broken GE appliances. Congratulations. Incredible.
You guys are rock stars. You know that, right?
Oh my God. Hey,
so sweet. I do have to say, I'm getting the energy that, Byron, you are the sweetest person in the entire world.
Yes.
From the way that you're treating Reka and I. And then also, if you could teach anyone in the world a recipe, you would want it to be your cooks.
Yeah, I mean,
anyone, you could pick Cher and you picked your cooks. That's so sweet.
That's very sweet. We like that.
It's about mentoring. It's about mentoring and passing on the baton.
And I've heard Cher is tough to mentor.
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard.
I've heard.
Okay, I've heard.
It's hard to
Tough to coming from a personal experience, she's tough to mentor.
Yeah.
Incredible. So let's dive right in. We got a quick fire, and it's a Portlandia related quick fire. You had to use vintage, like 70s appliances and hipster ingredients and no hotline to make a quick fire dish.
Yes.
What did you think when this challenge was presented to you?
I mean, I thought I was walking into like what is it, Smithsonian, like Julia Child. And I'm like, okay, what is going on here? So I got transported to back in like the 70s, you know, even the 40s, I would say. So it was a lot of fun, except once I realized the equipment that was available and some of the other chef testings were using, I think it was like Dawn was using this mixer that the bowl spun. Well, I was like, what? And then Chris was using this other device to make, I was like, what is this? So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to use the stove. I'll use a few bowls and the ingredients. Just because I feel like trying to figure out this equipment is going to take me longer than actually the utilization of them.
Yeah, great strategy. I was surprised that I feel like this is the first challenge ever where no one's done like a ceviche or a tartare or an oyster.
Well, I mean, I kind of wanted to do it, but what season was it? I think it was New Orleans, where there was he did like 5 ceviches and like 5 crudos, like, and then eventually.
Are you talking about Jeremy Ford from season 13?
I believe it was Jeremy, because Jeremy won. It was New Orleans. It was it was with Toops. With
Isaac Tubes?
Yeah, but it was that season. And it was like a quick challenge to go to the finale. And again, it was like another crudo. And I'm like, I love crudos and I make a lot of ceviches, but I'm like, I don't want to go down that route. And I don't want to repeat it.
I remember that. I feel like it was either Philip or Amar.
Are you thinking of
Philip,
was it Carlos?
No.
No. It wasn't Amar.
I'm sure the entire audience is like, oh my God. Yeah. Trying to remember who made a ceviche in season 11. Incredible. Beautiful. So, this challenge looks so hard, especially the stove thing seemed to throw people off.
I mean, I was familiar with, living in New York City and having those shitty apartment shoebox that you call home back in the day. I was used to those, but there's only 2 of them. I mean, there was like, 3 of them, I think. And it was all of us. And the the cookware, like the pots and the pans, again, it was like some Yankee stuff that I was like, okay, I can't do this. I mean, I grilled my endive right on the coil of the electric stove because everything was gone and nothing was heating up correctly. So I'm like, well, let me get some grill marks on this and just put it straight on the coil. But it was interesting.
Yes, that looked like a real challenge. So running through the dishes here, just getting right into it. I thought these dishes were fun, and as a vegetarian, I was like, I can eat most of this. Good for me. So Gabe made a Portland sausage, aka kombucha braised purple yam, crispy yam skins, and pickled purple cauliflower.
Yep.
Reika, this had your name all over it. I feel like that's
baby. I was like, a big ass purple potato. Yes. That looks incredible. Speaking of also having my name on it, Shota made spicy nutty green beans with dehydrated watermelon seed butter, toasted almonds, pickled beets, and asparagus.
Yeah. I remember that challenge. After we were done, I went over to Shota and I was like, what is this watermelon butter? And he had me try it. It's really good, guys. If you guys are it was creamy, almost like it had like Tahiti like a texture, but it was like a little bit sweet, creamy, It wasn't anything that like I expected, and I was mind blown. And I was like, I can't wait to go back to my normal life and purchase these.
I mean, one of the things I love about the show is not only just introducing me to new ideas, but I've never heard of watermelon seed butter, and I'm
No.
a prime target for something like that.
Yeah, they did an amazing job sourcing stuff that I was getting educated on, and I've been doing this for like 17 years.
Yeah.
And like literally all of us were like studying all this stuff after we were done, and it was like, this is really amazing. So great job, Top Chef.
Yes.
love
We
that.
simply love pickled beets. You've already won me over on this dish. Jamie made a mushroom and pickled asparagus dumpling with turnips and a hemp seed oil vinaigrette.
I didn't love this, but it sounded delicious to me. I love a
Yeah.
pickled element, and a dumpling is one of my favorite foods. So
Yeah.
This sounded awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Maria made a tomato soup with coconut milk and harissa and tomato peel and a cardamom crumble. Tomato peel, cardamom crumble.
Yeah,
Cardamom really surprised me in there, but I would totally try this.
yeah, that was very delicious. That was a really good, well executed dish.
yes, I was confused by this dish because I've been making pretty regularly like a chickpea tomato harissa soup that I've been eating a lot.
Okay.
But one food or one thing, I'm like not a picky eater. One thing that really like is hard for me to eat is the skins of tomatoes.
Okay.
Peel all my tomatoes before I eat them, raw
Yeah.
or cooked or whatever. So the idea of a tomato skin or a tomato peel crumble makes my like skin crawl, but I'm also deeply intrigued by it. So it's really kind of like an emotional back and forth for me.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like once you deep fry it, it's almost like a glassy, like see-through, charty. You know, you bite into it, it's crunchy.
It's
So
probably good, but it's one of those things where conceptually I'm like, that's my worst nightmare, but it
Got
looks
it.
so beautiful. I've
Got it.
absolutely tried. I can't stop thinking about it.
I don't have a concept of what it. I am fine with tomato skins, but I've never just like peeled one off and eaten it. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even know what flavor I'm gonna get from what she made. So
yeah.
yet again, being educated. Okay. Then Dawn made a fonio and semolina quick bread with pancetta jam and pear butter and goat butter. This fucked me up.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is phono? Is that what it's called?
I thought it was
Yeah, it's a flour. Again, I got educated that challenge. And it's an ancient what is it, grain from Africa, I believe. And I've never heard of it. And yeah, apparently she used an application of almost like cornbread.
Yeah.
And I mean the jam worked out well, the goat cheese. So kudos to you.
Yeah.
that. And to me, I was also like, she used the oven part.
Yeah.
You know, like that seemed very smart with limited stove space.
I mean, very smart, but very tricky. I mean,
Oh my
very-
God, she's baking.
Yeah, I would never.
in an oven that we don't know how it's gonna work.
That's
And,
true.
I mean, these ovens, you literally open them and they get cold right away.
Yeah.
And the temperature to come back up, it's like they're so old school that she gambled that one, but you know, she ended up taking the win for that. So
Yes.
great for her.
Yes, that looked great to me. Sorry, we're in the chat still talking about who made the crudos from season 11.
Yeah. The
Everyone's
fans trying to figure it out.
using your mind. So then Chris made variations of cauliflower with I'm going to say this wrong, giardiniera and sour. Okay, and sauerkraut and black garlic aioli.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean,
Byron, tell us, please.
the dish was beautiful, very good colors, and it makes sense. I mean, cauliflower is a very traditional ingredient used in jardiniere, so I definitely see how he used the Italian application or French application, which is very known for those kind of techniques. So it was a smart dish, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm
I
always
think for me,
yeah, go
it
ahead,
was
Jordan.
oh no, sorry, Rika. I was gonna say I think for me it was a little overwhelming for my brain because I liked all the things separately. I was like, okay, I like cauliflower, like the jardiniere makes sense to me, but then I'm also like I like black garlic and I like sauerkraut, but all of it together I like couldn't visualize it. But that being said, I'm an idiot, so there's really no.
I mean, he also kept it really hipster, kind of having the cauliflower steak.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Yes. Sorry, we're literally still people talking about this ceviche thing. Okay, and then you, Byron, made pan-seared striped bass, endive, finger limes, and pickled beet salsa.
Yeah.
Like, I already told you I'm here for a pickled beet any day, anytime.
And
So
I love a finger lime.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Finger limes are so good.
Incredible.
Yeah, they're very good. I mean, the only thing that wasn't from the hipster pantry type of thing, it was just like the fish. And I realized like everyone else was making, but I was like, I don't want to use a heavy protein. Let me use a fish. And I think they went well with the pickled beets, the earthy notes. I think I had some cherries there as well, which I didn't mention on the description.
Oh, yeah.
That was part of the salsa. And in the finger lime just added a nice pop to it.
Well, actually, this brings up a question because Shota wrote his dish on his hand, which I found very funny. I imagine it's really hard to just like kind of concisely go up to the judges like 2 seconds after you finish and be like, here's my like, is that a common thing?
Well, as a chef, you always want to explain all the ingredients on the plate.
Sure.
But I'm starting to realize like the storytelling part of it, where just explain whatever is like visual, or explain what you really want to highlight it. You don't need to, the guest doesn't need to know that it's like 3/4 of garlic inside the sauce type of thing.
Yes.
And it does help you. It does help you edit yourself. It does help you edit your dish and the way you explain things and kind of, so it helps out for sure.
And I'm sure, especially in challenges like the next one, which we will get to. So on the bottom of this quick fire was Jamie and Chris. On the top, it was Gabe, Maria, and Dawn pulls out the win. Yeah. We're all excited. I didn't even realize this was her first win.
Yeah, I didn't either. And I do want to say one thing about this quick fire is that it is interesting to me as a comedian to kind of like see comedy projected back at me like through Fred and Carrie and be like, wow, comedy is ultimately stupid.
I know.
Fred just kept saying Hasselback over and over again. And
I agree. It is embarrassing to watch people in your profession on TV. And I felt very similarly, Jordan.
It was so interesting. I was just like, wow, like not even in a mean way to them, because obviously they're like comedy icons, especially Carrie. I'm a huge fan, have a big crush.
Yes.
But like, I was just like, wow, he just keeps saying Hasselback. Like it's not even a joke. It's not even.
Well, I mean, they were very nervous.
That's cute. I like that.
They were,
like that.
Fans. They're big fans of the show. So walking in, they were like, kind of told us like, we're more nervous than you guys are, and we were like,
that's sweet.
I love that.
I like that they're actually fans, because like I feel like sometimes it's like this person's a huge fan. I'm like.
They were,
Michelle.
It's now that you're saying how you were talking about how comedy gets projected back at you. That's how we saw the whole fan, nerdy, like geeking over you type of thing. Like, I was like, you guys are like huge in entertainment, and you guys are geeking out about us. Like, no, it doesn't work out like that.
I mean, listen. Jordan and I are fucking freaks for this show, so I completely sympathize. I saw what the hell is it? Tyler from season 9 at a farmer's market once.
Oh my god. Really, and Rake and I too, like Rake and I have like worked with and like met like acting celebrities and musicians and stuff. I feel like we're both just kind of always like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
When I was in high school and went to Ilan Hall's restaurant, I was like, he's here.
Oh my God.
Very, very silly. But I mean, listen, we love a top chef. What can we say?
Amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. So actually, a little foreshadowing of Shota writing on his hand, as who in the chat said this, Christine. Our elimination challenge is to write a recipe. The specific challenge is create a recipe that will take a home cook only 90 minutes to prepare, but write it as if someone who's not, a chef, who's a home cook, is going to follow it. The little twist they threw at you is it is former Top Chef contestants, your judges panel, that are reading your recipes.
Yes.
This is a hard fucking challenge. As someone who family of immigrants, asking my grandma, like, how do you make this? And she's like, I have no recipe. I go all by eyesight and I throwing it in the wind. And now that is exactly how I cook. I'm like, if someone were to be like, measure this thing you make every day,
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
no.
No, yeah.
Ultimately, no. Just taste it. What was going through your mind when this was presented as a challenge?
Well, I mean, I'm very used to writing recipes at every menu that we do here at the restaurant in 7908 in Aspen. We R&D recipes. We taste them. We go back to the drawing board. We tweak whatever it is. Then we write the recipe, everything, measurements, ingredients, steps. Then we cook the recipe, just reading it off of it. And then if there's any, things that we need to fix grammatically or steps, we go back to the drawing board again. That takes about a month and a half that we do R&D here just to do just a menu, roll it out. Like, this is on a weekly basis. Me and my sous chefs are working this. So speaking chef language, I know how to do that. Speaking chef to talk to a home cook, I didn't realize how hard it was. So it was like, okay, guys, do we do it in grams or do we do it in like ounces? I'm used to grams because it's more exact. Ounces, it's not new to me, but I haven't done it in years. It's hard. So to sit there and do all this, and then part of the challenge was like you need to R&D the recipe, you need to purchase all the ingredients, R&D it, make a pet recipe, take a picture, and submit it. You have 3 hours to do this. What the fuck?
I kind of laughed out loud when Dawn won the quick fire, and they're like, your advantage, you get 15 extra minutes. I was like,
excuse me,
that's so little time.
How dare you?
Okay, Dawn, because you absolutely kicked ass in this first challenge, we will give you 35 extra seconds to look in the Top Chef pantry.
It was just so crazy. I mean, like going back to that comment, when Padma, not even halfway through the season, she's like, all right, well, this is the last, immunity of the season. I was like, what? And Shota snatched it, which, good for him. That was on the frontline challenge. I was like, what is after this? And then they're talking about 15 extra minutes to finish your course. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on in this fucking episode?
Yes. This challenge just seemed really hard. And one of those Top Chef challenges that is, it is about cooking, certainly, but it's really about something else, like basically being a cookbook writer.
Yes, like a totally different skill set.
Yes.
Which, it's very inspiring. It taught me so much, this challenge, of how not to see cooking through my own eyes, to also try to express yourself through someone else's vision or someone else's understanding. To express that is very hard. Again, we're not editors, we're not writers, but we have the opportunity nowadays with gastronomy to get to that point, writing books, this and that, telling your story. So it was a very impactful, eye-opening, humbling experience for me, where now I edit myself with everything that I do, especially at the restaurant, and edit the recipes and just making sure that the message is across and don't overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you think this challenge would have been easier or harder if they had non-chefs cook the recipes as opposed to like former elite competitors and winners?
It would have been way harder.
Okay.
Just because, I don't want to insult anyone here, but, chefs have that common sense, like that sixth sense that, first of all, like the hustle and like, okay, let's read this recipe, let's glance through it, but we kind of get the gist of it. And then once we get out the ingredients and start shopping, we'll go back to it as we're chopping, we're looking at it. Where a home cook, it's going to sit there and maybe read it 3 times and then start grabbing their stuff and then start chopping slowly. And they're like, okay, let me go back. It would have been way harder if a home cook would have done it.
The amount of times I start a recipe, and there's like the third step is like leave overnight. And I'm like,
sit for 18 hours. Yeah.
I did not read this.
So what do you guys like to cook? Is it something like, what attracts your eye? Is it something that like, okay, once a month I'm going to challenge myself to do something that I'm not familiar with, or is it something that you're like, okay, this too much, skip the page? Like, what interests you guys?
I'm so excited, Reka. This is
So,
wow. I love
wow.
when we get a fun question for us because ultimately Reka and I do love food and to cook.
Yeah.
Reka, you want to go first?
I will say when I'm like flipping through a cookbook, one of my favorite things to do is sit and look at a cookbook.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the recipes that speak to me the most, obviously like veg forward ones, things that look like they're covered in a sauce or a gravy of some sort really jump out at me. To your point too, like the translating into my vernacular, like I had never had etouffee before, and I ordered it from like a vegan soul food restaurant. And I was like, oh, it came almost looking like soup. And I was like, I thought this was over like rice or something. It's entirely possible they just like didn't give me that. So I was like, what do I do? Well, I'm going to treat this like it's a curry and I'm eating it with something else.
Perfect. Yeah,
so like
makes sense.
that helps me. Obviously, like if there's a picture of the recipe, I was like, why isn't there a picture of every single recipe? Because I'm automatically going to make that one more than another one. And I love baking. So I will try to do something like in the dessert section of a cookbook. Like I do try to be like, let me try a new thing once a month. Let me try to make a bread. Let me try to make a new dessert I've never made.
Okay, cool.
And appetizers.
I'm kind of the opposite end of Reka. I don't like baking. So if there's a cookbook, I will sit down and read a cookbook like a book.
Yeah.
And Reka and I know we both just got like Greg's cookbook just came out. Sheldon's cookbook just came out. Like we've been getting those and just like reading them and loving them. But I am not weighing anything. I don't want a recipe in grams or ounces or anything. I'm barely using cups and tablespoons.
Yeah.
Because most of my cooking is kind of just like, I don't like to bake, you know, I'm making soups and stews and sauces and stuff where I can like do a little, then taste, see how it goes. So yeah, anything I have to measure, that's usually or not measure, but weigh, that's a no for me. I always want pictures. And I also love, like, sometimes cookbooks will be like, hey, if you don't have this thing or this thing is not in season, you know, if they're like, use asparagus, but if asparagus is not in season, this dish is incredible with kombucha squash or like whatever.
Awesome.
That kind of stuff really hits home with me because I would say Reka and I both do try to eat local and use a lot of local produce. And so if a recipe's like, use this thing and there's no alternatives for it, I might be like, oh, this sucks. This is a great recipe, but I can only use it once a year or whatever.
As a little cookbook recommendation, if you like baking, Black Girl Baking, she used to be vegan. So all her recipes, like 90% of them are like, here's the recipe, here's a vegan modification. And as someone who is constantly Googling stupid stuff like, I have no buttermilk and no lemons. How do I I'm gonna do this? It's very helpful.
Great.
What about, so what is that? Is that cool intel from plebeian?
No, that's amazing. I mean, I'm learning so much just because, again, I'm trying to see the world outside of you know, a chef's eye, and you know, hardcore fans like you guys. There's definitely a lot of them, and at the end of the day, I want to learn how to communicate with them, and that whole idea of we saying, hey, if this ingredient is not available, you could substitute it for that. That was just like mind-blowing to me. I was like, why haven't I ever really thought of that? So thank you, ladies, for sharing. I really appreciate that intel.
Oh yeah,
pleasure.
Wow, we love. Beautiful. So okay, let's move on to these dishes, because we got some cool stuff here. Gabe and Gregory, his partner, made steamed black cod in a banana leaf with crispy skin and salsa veracruzana.
Incredible. I love anything in a banana leaf.
Me too. Shota and partner Kwame made soy braised pork belly with a turnip puree and a pear salad. I mean,
it was very, very tasty.
Do you guys taste each other's food a lot?
Well, we not really. It's funny because people ask that and you just like don't have time that you know, whether it's cleanup, whether it's like time and you gotta plate your dish, whether people, you know, you're done with the you only kind of taste components. And we haven't seen each other's dishes plated. We are seeing the critiques and we're seeing the plated dishes live when everybody else sees it. So just to kind of, we speak about them, but visually we don't really kind of have an idea, only like, you know, kind of like just imagining. But yeah, we don't really have time to taste like a composed dish. I mean, we did at Coco Son when we did the tasting before, you know, the pre-shift and that, but it's not something that happens very often during filming.
Yeah, you actually brought up something that I had never really thought about, but I do have a question about. How much cleaning do you do?
There is an amazing, I mean, like I said, Top Chef thinks of everything. And, you know, in 18 seasons, they just gotten better and better. There is these God-sent, heaven-sent angels of a culinary team that take care of the disaster of the kitchen after we leave. So God bless them. Those people are amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And they will have a job in a restaurant if ever they want to come to work.
Oh,
Oh my God.
so sweet.
So
You saying that reminded me, in season 13, there's a chef that's like very messy, Wellesley. And there's just a moment I need to call out that is one of the most visceral things I've ever seen, which is he was putting a bunch of ingredients into a blender. And his whole thing is like, yeah, I'm kind of a slob. And he put in a tomato that still had the sticker on it.
Oh, God.
It almost killed me.
Oh, my God.
It's really horrible to look at. And I can eat some gross looking food, but this was like,
Yeah.
No Top Chef culinary producers could prevent him from doing that.
putting a sticker into a blender
On camera.
from eating stickers.
From eating stickers.
Incredible. Okay, so then Maria and Kristen made a Sonoran pork and bean soup with cilantro, onion, hominy, and lime.
I love this. This was essentially like a pozole, right?
It was like a pozole, but it took like 10 stock pots to make this.
I mean, watching
love
Kristen,
it.
it was like, yeah, it was very funny. And then when Kristen was like,
yes,
the meat.
Yes, I am obsessed. And this is what I love, because sometimes I feel, you know, we've talked about this in the past, like Top Chef in earlier seasons can be very like kind of like whitewashed and very like Eurocentric in a way that is bad, that I think they continue to move more and more away from as seasons go on, which I think is incredible. But I love when Christian was like, why so much? And Maria was like, because I'm Mexican. And I was like, I love that. I'm like, yes, that's how you cook your food. And I thought it was so cool that Maria was just like, yeah, I'm not embarrassed. Like, I get that in the chef world, you are supposed to make like a thimble full of soup, and that's what people expect of you. But Maria was like, fuck you, I'm making a huge pot of soup, and if you don't like it, go away. And
leftovers for a year. And I think
I'm
that's
obsessed.
I learned, and that's Maria in every way. She's got such a big heart, and that's shows through her cooking. And she's just so, you know, she just wants to bless everyone and making sure she was the mom. She was the mom of the cast, and making sure everyone ate, making sure everyone was taken care of. They got a warm plate of food, and there's no limits to that. So God, you know, I love Maria.
That's very sweet. She's great. Next up, we have Chris and Melissa. So this is a sorghum gnocchi with a green romesco, braised dandelion greens, and a sauces on sec.
Yeah.
I will eat gnocchi that has come out of a garbage can. So this sounds great to me. I know it didn't end up being great.
I don't think I know what sorghum is fully.
So sorghum is a grain. Typically, they use it in like I know Sean Brock uses it a lot in his cuisine. So it's like a southern grain. I've used it in the restaurant, so we cook it almost like barley, and then also we puff it up, like it pops like popcorn. It's like really miniature popcorn. So you could do it two ways. So I believe that he tried to blend it, just to make it into a powder, like a flour, and that's what he utilized to bind his gnocchi. I mean, to me the dish made sense. But I think it was like the tricky part was definitely in the gnocchi application. And like I said, you know, thinking as a chef, you're like, okay, well, if it's too loose, I need to bind it with more flour or more gluten. And you forget about that because, you know, the time and just the restrictions and like everything that's going on, you forget about that. And what I did like, honestly, about the judges, I mean, sorry, the All-Stars, is that they stuck to the recipe. Again, it was very fair. It was a very fair game. The whole competition is very fair. You know, they don't have preferences, this and that, and it showed there that it's like, okay, well, I could think like a chef because I know what's wrong with this, but I'm gonna follow it to a T. And you could see that they're like, I'm sorry, like, I wanted to help you because I know what was wrong.
Oh my God, when Kwame was like, Shoda didn't say put oil in the pan, I was like, ah! Ah! Brutal.
But it was very fair, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Like it came out really, really awesome. That's what made the beautiful thing about the episode. It made it amazing.
Hell yeah. So next we have Jamie and Gregory. Seared foie gras with brioche French toast, blueberry compo, and black sesame.
Yeah. I mean, coming from a French background, I could definitely relate to those notes and textures and stuff like that. But again, you know, I think I forgot who said it at the judges table. I think it was Dale. Was like, well, I don't know how many home cooks will cook foie gras.
I would never.
I think it's such a hard ingredient because I think there is probably like a group of people that does want to cook it, but it is expensive and it is hard to get. Like, so I think it's kind of just like, do you want to me, it almost feels like a better recipe to be like, I'm doing a YouTube video where I show people how to make this. Because then at least people can watch it and be like, oh, this is cool. And like enjoy watching it. And then if they want to make it, they can make it. But to make a cookbook full of full of like dishes kind of like this, to me it felt a little bit like it would be lost on most people who would buy a cookbook.
I agree. I think importantly, who would buy a cookbook? Because like I don't have kids or a spouse or anything, but like if I see foie gras French toast in a cookbook, and I feel like a lot of people with families end up buying cookbooks as well. I would not reach for that. I would not cook foie gras for my family necessarily, or as like my main meal. So yeah, it's a very a thinker of a challenge.
Yeah.
Then Byron, you and Kwame made steamed striped bass with a seafood broth and beans, and you wrote like a 4-page long recipe.
So to kind of again, it's and I could see how Jamie kind of translated like that. Chef talk and cook talk or home cook talk. It's very different. So to me, the broth was the thing that took the most. The broth, you know, timely, you know, it was like 50 minutes to get everything in the pot and just set it and forget it type of thing. Then it was a matter of straining it and that's it. Yeah. You know, and then you jump on the fish, it's salted, steam it, less than an hour, everything was done. But, you know, I could see definitely as a cook being like, okay, now you got to cut the galangal root and then throw the kombu in. All those ingredients that people are like, okay, well, what is this? You know, so definitely, like I said, the judging was very fair. Yeah. I mean, there was only 3 components to the dish, if you really think about it: the beans, the broth, and the fish. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely, I shot more than I thought I was able to handle.
Would you have now kind of watching it, would you have tried to make something else? Or are you still like, no, this kind of ruled?
No, I would definitely try to make something else just because now I understand the editing part of editing myself, editing my thoughts, and understanding what other people may not understand that in my head is not Byron's world. You know, I'm not the only one on here.
Totally. Yeah, that really makes sense. I will say though, what I liked about your dish and that recipe is you were talking about how it's kind of just like 3 ingredients, like the beans, the fish, and the broth. And I think kind of breaking it down like that does feel very doable to me, a home cook that likes to cook. I'm like, oh, like, yeah, even if it's 3 very detailed things, kind of being like, oh, it's 3 things.
Exactly.
Mentally for my brain, that's easier to process than just seeing like, stuff not
so I think like how you were talking, like you like pictures on your cookbook. So I think if you first look at that picture, you're like, oh, okay, I could do this. It's colorful, it's tasty, it's fun, it's like soupy but hearty. But yeah, I guess then you look at the sauce and you're like, oh, fuck this shit. And yeah.
I mean, one thing I liked about yours and Maria's ideas was that it feeds a lot of people. I like, again, I'm thinking from like a point of view of like, I think a lot of people who have cookbooks are cooking for multiple people.
Yeah.
I am not, but I am cooking for multiple things.
Yeah.
I, you know, I have like stopped using recipes, not because I don't like them, but sometimes because it's like, oh, I have to buy broccolini, which
Correct.
is a thing I could eat the whole bunch of in one sitting.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to be like 3 servings or whatever. I'm like, this was 1 serving and it is gone. And all the things I used to make it are also gone. So I kind of like these like the never-ending soups recipes.
A real Olive Garden situation.
A real Olive Garden, black hole sort of situation.
Never-ending soup. People are asking in the chat, Byron, you said that you would have made something totally different for this challenge. Do you have any ideas of what you would have made?
A ceviche.
Hey. It's you. You're the ceviche guy.
We love
that. And just so we don't forget, Dawn made a salmon with buttermilk sauce and a gailon and olive puree.
Yeah.
It sounded great to me. I think buttermilk is underutilized in things outside of baking, and
I agree.
It's dressing.
I think I've heard a lot of shade thrown at buttermilk with regards to it not in those contexts. But I'm like, yo, Indian people, straight up drink it.
In the South. It's very popular in the South.
Yes. That shit is always in my house. My mom's always like, do you want some buttermilk? I'm always like, respectfully, no. People be drinking that with spicy food.
I love it.
Salt in it, you know, and spices. Beautiful. So quickly going through judges table. Top, Maria, Shota, Gabe, Dawn. Gabe is the winner. And on the bottom and eliminated is Chris.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was hard. Chris and I definitely clicked. I mean, but you know, it's hard not to get into a headspace while you're going through this competition. I mean, it's so easy to step out, and now months later, I look at it and I'm like, why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I think of this?
Of course.
And that's the hard part. And I try to prep myself prior to the competition with those thoughts and kind of playing those situations. But honestly, unless you're one of the 15 people of every season that gets chosen and does this show, it's hard to understand. It's hard to express. It's hard for us to tell that. It's just something so unique that I've worked at Michelin-starred restaurants. I worked at a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star. I've done it all. This kind of stress is the hardest shit I've done in my life.
Wow.
So, time and time again, we hear that.
Me too.
Yeah, and it is because it's unlike, I don't want to talk about other shows because I don't know a lot about it, but there's nothing scripted here. The element of surprise, the long hours, like it takes a toll of you after a while. Like, I mean, there's some seasons that people are just like, I'm out. Like, I want to be out. Like, I can't take this anymore. It's real. It is real.
Yes.
So now, like, kind of flipping the script, when I was sitting and binge watching everything before going, and I was like, why didn't you do this? Or why didn't he think of this? I would have done this. That's the last thing that I will ever say about anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's Reika and I are huge critics because we love to watch the show. But yeah, I mean, Reika and I would be eliminated in the first.
I'd be eliminated the moment the application went out to apply.
Absolutely not.
Byron, we got a few questions for you.
Amazing. Let's go.
Let's go.
Well,
okay.
First of all, Reika, can I just jump in and say that, Byron, we also have a lot of compliments for you. People in the chat are losing their minds. Everyone's saying you have an incredible energy. They would watch a cooking show with you as a host.
Someone said, I'm charmed by Byron, learning from Byron what went wrong and still keeping positive. They love your positive attitude.
Yeah, I mean, on the show, like I said, I got into my headspace and I was myself. I wasn't doing anything else, but I was just like very work mode. And that's how I am at work. That's when people are like, you're a chef. And I'm like, yeah. He goes like, well, you're not an asshole. I'm like, no, you're like the nicest chef I've ever met. But I was competing and everything, but there is that side of me where I'm like, very outgoing, energetic. I've been wanting to do a couple more videos on my Instagram.
Please do.
I'm gonna give a little shout out. What I've done recently, I've been on the road for the past month and a half. I literally got home 2 days ago, and I'm working, trying to reopen the restaurant.
You've
So I've
been
been on the
doing
road.
a lot of like events with other Top Chef people, right?
Yeah. So I've been doing
So-
pop-ups, charity events, traveling. I've been through like 9 different cities in the past month and a half.
Wow.
So I haven't had time to like do videos. So I'm starting this new little series called Cafecito Talks, which is like little coffee talks, in the morning. And like it's an open forum. We speak about anything. I do it for about 35 minutes to an hour, 30 to an hour. And people want to come in and like video, and we video chat. Then I give an opportunity to somebody else and answer questions. So look out for that on Cafecito Talks on my story. I kind of posted the night before, but I'm also going to get into more cooking. So there is a lot of Latin cooking that's going to be involved, not just Mexican. There's going to be ingredients from Brazil, Patagonia, Costa Rica. So kind of all that stuff that's up and coming. But right now I'm just trying to settle back into what normal life is outside of the road.
That's
my-
awesome. Guys, Byron's Instagram info is in the description. So give him a follow
Oh,
and check
Byron.
out
Thank you.
all these cool projects.
Amazing.
Going on these questions, let's see where it was. Oh yeah, Elaine asked, do you have a favorite season of Top Chef other than your own, of course?
Last season, I would say All Stars.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like. I just don't understand how this gets better and better and better. I thought All Stars was just such a badass season, and people are saying like season 18 is my favorite. And I was like, what? So I'm like, okay, well, no pressure for season 19.
Well, I agree that Top Chef gets better every season. It's like a wine, aging kind of thing.
Yeah.
And,
what I really like about the All-Star season is just seeing how, okay, let's take Melissa, for example. Her season, Boston, very shy, very timid at the beginning, kind of under the radar throughout the whole time. Then, she made it as far as she made it, which it was great. And actually, side note, Brooke just started this new post today about, hey, Top Chef judges of season 18, doing before picture and like now picture. And you see how much they grow, how much they look differently, how much their confidence from their posture to the way they dress to just a picture.
I think that doing a before and now picture that isn't related to weight loss or something is very cool to me, of like, just look how much more confident I am.
Exactly.
10 years later.
I agree. I think Melissa is the ideal example. She went from being kind of like shy, nice person to being like a true lesbian icon. I can't get enough. She's just so, even in judging now, she's just so confident, and it's so exciting to watch.
Absolutely, 100%.
So that's like a prime example. Like, that was my favorite season, and it's things that Top Chef, the opportunities that come, and it's up to you. It's up to the individual. There's many Top Chefs, that have won and they're doing their private life, and it's great. There's others that, are, top 6 or, top 10, and they're doing great. There's other ones that it's just like what you do with it, and it's just an opportunity that's so amazing. So like I said, every season gets better, but I think my favorite is season 17 thus far.
Oh yeah. Also a question from Elaine. What was your biggest takeaway or the best thing you learned thus far from what we've seen on your season of Top Chef?
So it's 2 things. First of all, is confidence, and that's the byproduct of me at 32 years old, struggling to find my identity type of thing. Not in a way, I know who I am, I know what I do, this and that, but in the sense of like, I got into this competition, and first challenge, Panama's like, well, guys, enough about us. Let me find out about you. Who has been a James Beard nominee? I was like, okay, this is fucking real now. Cool, let's do it. And then I look at Gabe, very, Yucatanian, rooted. I look at Shota, Japan, very structured. And here I am, Byron, part of my story is like I'm a DACA recipient. I was born in Costa Rica, raised in the US, but I'm not Costa Rican enough because I really wasn't grown up there. But I'm not American enough because my legal status is still kind of, whatever. Politics is still working that shit out. I'm classic French trained, but I like Southeast Asian flavors. But now I'm going back to my Latin American roots. What am I? So, what Tom Chef told me is like, don't put yourself in a box.
Yeah.
Why that? Start elbowing that box out of here. And this is what America is. This is what my America is. It's a blend of cultures, of influences, of a lot of things that, yes, we have a cuisine that's evolving, here in America, but it's a lot of take on a lot of different cultures that have come together. So the biggest thing that I've taken from this is my confidence and being able to be comfortable in my own skin, with my own ideas, with my own presentation and interpretation of how I see food and how people to enjoy that experience.
What a beautiful answer.
I'm like, oh my God, Byron for president?
I mean, that is such a relatable idea, not even as just as chef, but like we're in comedy and that's a big thing, finding your voice. And sometimes you think, oh, well, somebody else, for me in particular, like, oh, there's another Indian comic already here. It's like, well, that's not my only thing. That's not even a percentage of like what my thing is. And having to carve that out is a whole process, and it's cool.
I mean, you struggle with it because there's that self-confidence, there's that self-doubt, there's that what people are going to say or think about you, or what's the status, and it's all that stuff. So, you thought like you let go of those teenage stages when you're trying to figure out who you are and who you click with. I'm 32 years old, and I'm still trying to figure out this thing called life every morning.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
Absolutely. Let's see if there's another question. Let's see. Okay, well, I have one. Do you have a favorite challenge that's happened so far?
Yes. My favorite, well, I have two. Obviously, Restaurant Wars. That's that's amazing. It was a very, I could brag about it. It's a very historic Restaurant Wars, life-changing, show-changing Restaurant Wars. I mean, to the point where, what is it? Gail was looking at the menu. She was like, I want that, I want that, I want that. I definitely fucking want that.
That whole menu was so cool. And all we could talk about was like, how is this not a restaurant already?
What
a cool idea.
So that was really awesome, just to be, that milestone in the show and to make something amazing. Because you hear every season, like, well, this restaurant was good. But, to top it off and everyone pretty much saying, like, this was crazy. It's really cool. But my ultimate favorites and a little, kind of behind the scenes thing here when they asked me, I was like, it was the Native American challenge, the Cascade Locks. Just because I could relate to, being a minority, being oppressed, being taken away from the land and all this. I told Maria, I was like, let's be very blunt with each other. Let's be very honest. Let's edit each other. But we both went with the mission of like, I'm sorry, Top Chef, but I'm not cooking for the judges today. I'm cooking to pay my respects to these people who has invited us to what I consider Holy Land, to what I consider they gave us the duck potato, and they haven't harvested like 100 years, and they gave it to us for the first time. That to me was just so mind-blowing that when we were composing the dish, and you could see it in the episode, they talk about the whole history of how they eat their food. So the fish came first, and then the four-legged animals. And then after that was like everything that comes from the ground, which is like the mushrooms, all this stuff. And that's how we compose our dish. So when you eat it, the first thing you do, it was a surf and turf. It was the smoked salmon on top of the venison. Underneath that was the mushroom puree. So we wanted to make sure that editly we
showed it how they explained it to us, utilizing every ingredient that they gave us because we wanted to pay respects to the Native Americans.
Ah,
I love that.
that's so touching. It's such a beautiful episode. And like Elena's pointed out, like, yeah, this season has been very good about being like, hey, here's cultures like the food industry is not good at showing. Like in a very cool way. And that was such an awesome freaking episode.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Love it. Do you have a least favorite challenge so far?
Not because of the reason, but because of the process, the feeding the frontline workers.
That seemed so hard.
It was so physically demanding, exhausting. I mean, our pantry is so limited to literally like boxes of like 50-pound potatoes. And now, it makes sense how these people cook, because when they go and help out these hurricanes and the people who are in need of earthquakes, they don't go to a grocery store and be like, all right, well, let me get this. No, they're buying in bulk, and you have to figure out how you're going to feed these people who are in need. So it was very real in that sense. It was very real of like all the PPE. We have to roll down sleeves. We have to wear gloves. We have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
We have to sprint, being hot, the time constraint, the space. And we all complained. We all were so exhausted that it was hard not to get upset after we were done. But then I started thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, I'm cooking food and I'm doing it and it's great. But how would that person feel when they're trying to save a life and that doesn't happen? And then you move on to the next one and you move on to the next one. There's no complaining there. There's no being hot. There's no being muffled. There's a goal. So I'm like, Byron, shut the fuck up and just embrace the challenge.
Wow. A neck tattoo for me. Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Incredible. Another question from Alexander. What is your favorite, like, quick or easy food to make for yourself? Maybe you don't have a lot of time to cook, so you throw this together.
So my last meal on this earth is very, very simple. So hopefully everybody could nail it. It's fresh made white rice with 2 fried eggs on top, a few sprinkles of soy sauce, and chopped scallions. If you have some sriracha laying around or sambal leek, that's nice, but I'm not expecting everybody to have that on my deathbed. But that's it. That's my go-to meal that kind of is very comforting, and everybody can relate to eggs and rice. And, so yeah.
Byron, I'll tell you right now, if you are dying, I'm running to your bedside with a bottle of sriracha. I swear to God, you will not die on my watch. You will not die on my watch without a little spicy. I'm a hot sauce queen.
Him with a fucking sriracha bottle.
I squeeze it inside.
Thank you. Wow.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Not on my watch.
Not on our watch. Incredible. So Byron, we like to ask our guests what they would have made for the challenge, but this is fun because you were in the challenge.
Yeah.
So we already kind of asked you what if you would have made something different for the recipe.
Yeah.
Do you was this where you said ceviche?
Yeah, it's a ceviche. It's actually a dish that I have on the menu right now. Again, if you look at 7908's website,
Yum.
or if you go on my Instagram, you kind of scroll down just because there's a lot of Top Chef situation going on right now, the latest feeds. But it's a crudo, so it's lightly cured. I made like almost like a version of it, different restaurant, of course, but this is a much better version on not so stressed out and very well thought out recipe. So it's a salmon crudo, and it has influences from Peru. What else? Peru. It has influence from Mexico and Europe. And Southeast Asia. So you have 4 different kind of influences going in one dish. And it's a salmon crudo with huancaína sauce and kaffir lime oil, and then puffed quinoa and pickled jicama.
I'm looking at your menu right now, and that was one of the things that stood out to me. Can you explain the sauce for people that might not know what this is?
So huancaína, in Peru, there's this traditional dish called papa a la huancaína, which is our potatoes in huancaína sauce. So the sauce comes from the region of Huancayo, which is a state in Peru. So pretty much it's like a evaporated milk. You have ají amarillo, which is a yellow pepper that's native to Peru. They use crackers to kind of make it a little bit thicker. And they blend the sauce with like onions. They blend the sauce and then they pour it over cold potato. So it's like a cold potato salad with almost like a mayo-like dressing, and then use olives for acidity and brininess. So what I do at the restaurant, I take all those base ingredients of the sauce, but then I add ginger and I add turmeric. So that's where like the other influence come around, just to kind of be like, you're good, buddy, but here, let me help you up to kind of elevate you.
Ooh, a little booster seat. I love that.
So yeah.
Incredible. I totally neglected to mention Last Chance Kitchen, which must have made me black out when I watched it, because do you watch Last Chance Kitchen? Did you see the
I'm gonna be one of those people who are gonna be lame. I don't watch an episode until maybe 2 or 3 days later.
That's not lame.
That's
Okay.
that makes sense. And honestly, you don't need to watch Last Chance Kitchen, because Last Chance Kitchen is ultimately lame.
No, but this is even like where the episodes that I'm in on the regular show. There's so much going on right now that I'm like,
Absolutely.
I don't want to get serious PTSD right now.
Absolutely. And you know what? If you watch this week's episode of Last Chance Kitchen, you'll get some other disease, because the challenge was
so lame.
It was because the season is graciously sponsored by a car. The thing was Tom driving around a racetrack 10 times, and that's the amount of time Sarah and Chris had to cook something. So they don't know how long he's going to take to race around the track. So they don't know.
They're not counting the laps or anything, obviously, because they're running around the kitchen. And
like yelling out, "Round one." By the way, that lap took 1 minute and 5 seconds. I was like, my God, let's get back in. I
don't want to be rude. I know we have Sean, the Bravo rep, on the call. So Sean, please don't tell Tom I
that was a challenge you designed. I'm very sorry.
Yeah, Sean, you were in on that. I'm so sorry. But I was just like, oh my gosh, we have to. Top Chef is so incredible, but I am like, come on, we gotta fold these brand partnerships in a little better sometime.
Besides that episode, how's it been on Last Chance Kitchen?
I have been okay with I love Last Chance Kitchen. I think it's a great idea. I think it really speaks to the game element of Top Chef, where someone really like a Kristen Kish can go home just because of something in the game, not because they're not a good chef. So I love that this gives people an opportunity to come back. I know some of my friends are like, it's just an opportunity to sell ads or whatever. I literally don't care, except mom's driving a race car. I can't. And I'm like,
you know what I'll tell you? This is also rude of me. So Byron, I'm so sorry. I don't want you to get the wrong impression of me. But Richard Liz is being corny as hell. And I was like, Richard, you got to tone it down, my guy. I love Richard.
And I'm like, that's Avishar's thing.
Yeah. Don't do puns. That's not for you. I I've been with Richard since day one, since he was born, basically. And it was just like all of it was too much together. I think Last Chance Kitchen is always very on the nose. So if you like that, I think it's perfect for you.
You messed up making chicken. So guess what? Today you're making chicken.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like that they have it. I think it's nice to come back, because like Rick mentioned, like with someone like a Kristen Kish, where it's like she went home because of a restaurant wars thing that like really wasn't her fault.
Yeah.
And so I think that's nice.
Yeah.
Agreed. But overall, I'm a fan.
Cool.
But yeah, Sarah moved on in Last Chance Kitchen. I'm excited for her.
I think she'll eventually come back. I'll say it. Byron, don't look at me. Don't look at the camera.
Don't signal
anything. We're not asking. But me personally, Jordan hosted this show. I think Sarah will end up back.
Cool.
Byron, there's one last thing. We're wrapping up. We want to encourage people to donate to Heart of Dinner, our charity. All the info is in the chat. But am I allowed to say it? I can? Okay. Byron, I got word from the Bravo producers that live in my apartment. You are Top Chef.
And a lot of people don't know this, Byron. There are 2 ways to become Top Chef. One of them is to compete in the show Top Chef and win, and the other is to do 1 episode of the podcast live on YouTube Top Chef.
Amazing. I thought
You thought you had to go through a whole, no, people can just tell all your friends. They can just come on our show. I will make this joke every week, but you'll have an Indian woman telling you you're Top Chef. And that's
great.
in a way, it's the same. So thank you so much, Byron. You were such a blast. Please, everyone, follow Byron on social media. Check out all the projects he's got coming up. And thanks for tuning in, guys.
Oh my God, guys, this was so much fun. Hopefully it's not the last time we do this. I'm really hoping that we get to meet in New York or wherever you guys are at, and just know that I'm gonna just follow me along and this crazy journey. Thank you guys for the opportunity, and it's been a blast hanging out.
Oh, we love it. Thank you, Byron.
Bye, everybody.